Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, hopefully a little fun, and kind of take a trip down memory lane a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to list every single one of my favorite primary weapons in every subfamily type, right? You know, adaptive hand cannon, aggressive hand cannon, precision hand cannon, adaptive auto rifle, rapid fire, pulse, all of them. You get what I'm saying here? And I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of Destiny 2. So these are the guns that stand out to me as being the ones that I have enjoyed using the most during our, since 2017 journey with Destiny 2. So hopefully this will be fun. Hopefully this will dredge up some memories of good seasons for you as well. Now, there's a lot of oldies but goodies here in this vault. Stuff that I just couldn't bring myself to delete because I loved them so much at one point in time that I just couldn't bring myself to, part with those memories and delete them. Let's start by knocking out all the sidearms, and we'll kick things off with the lightweight frame family. So in the lightweight frame family, there's one sidearm. There's no competition here. There's one sidearm that stands out to me as being my favorite. It came out during the Forsaken era. It is the Anonymous Autumn. This was my original one that I fell in love with, and it's not even like a perfect roll. It's just a really, really good roll. But I have over 12,000 final blows in PvP with this individual roll. But I also have this other roll with the moving target kill clip roll that I had over 5,000 kills on. So like between these two, 5,500, 12,500, you're looking at 18,000 final blows between these two. That is a great relationship that I had with this gun. And I've always been bummed that they've never brought it back. They've given us some lightweights, but they're not the same. We get the red back, stuff like that. But they're not the Anonymous Autumn. Next up, we have the adaptive frame sidearms. Now, this is like your Drang, Everybody goes crazy about Drang. You got the Keening as well, the Crucible sidearm. But the one, for me, that if I could only keep one moving forward, it would definitely be, hands down, the 18 Kelvins. The 18 Kelvins is an adaptive frame sidearm that came out during the Warmind DLC. It had fixed rolls, not random rolls, and this is what you got. You've got hammer forged and small bore here, actorized rounds, kill clip, and opening shot to choose from. I always ran kill clip. This gun, I love this sidearm so much. All these kills are in PvP, over 4,000 kills on this thing. It has just always been such a consistent dueler. I still break it out from time to time and use it. I love the look, I love the sound, I love the feel. Everything about the 18 Kelvins is great. They knocked that one out of the park. That one I have Vicarious Visions to thank for. Next up, we have the aggressive burst sidearms. There are so many great ones in this category. The Empirical Evidence is one of them. What a great looking firearm. Isn't that just a beautiful firearm? I love this thing. And, on my crafted one, I racked up over 4,000 kills on it. I had a couple thousand on a random roll before I had this one all leveled up. So this one has always stood out to me. You also have the Brass Attacks, which is also a beautiful firearm. I love the way Brass Attacks looks. There she is, little pocket rocket. Look at her. 2,600 kills on this one. But if I had to pick one, and this is tough for me because I love the Empirical Evidence. I love it. But if I had to pick one, it would be the Forgiveness Adept. Over 6,000 final blows on this specific one. I love this firearm. It is so consistent. It is so good. It's good today. It was good last season, the season before that, and the season before that. Big fan of the Forgiveness. Such a strong dueler. And then in the rapid fire family, you've got some contenders. You got the Fool's Remedy. But I think my favorite is just got to be the most recent one, is the Michael's Reverence. And I don't have a ton of kills on my crafted one yet. But, I had about 1,000 on my random roll before that. And hopefully this week I'm going to get my hands on an adept version of this since it's available. I just have to get a raid team together, which is always the most challenging part. I know a lot of people get hung up on the look of this thing, and they call it the Glock and you know what. But I think it's cool, and this isn't my favorite family of sidearm, but within this subfamily, I think the Michael's Reverence is my number one. And then in the Precision family, one of my favorites is the Boudica. I've been a big fan of the Boudica. I actually have 3 of these that I have kept, which is why my vault is almost completely maxed out, because I have a problem. But this is the one I've used the most, 1,300 kills on this one. I've got a few hundred on a different one that's moving target multi-kill clip roll as well that works out very nicely. But my favorite in this subfamily would have to be Swift Verdict, baby. This thing is so good. This is my second one. I deleted the first one to make room. This one was a little bit better. I actually like the reload masterwork on this because it works well with kill clip, and I've got killing winds, so cut down on the reload speed so I have more time to take advantage of the timer on kill clip and specifically on killing wind as well. But I love this thing. This thing is a very strong dueler. It comes from the Prophecy dungeon. I highly recommend. I have been singing its praises for a long time now. I do highly recommend that you get one of these and try it out because it's actually very stinking good. And then finally, we have the Adaptive Burst subfamily, and you've got some great ones here. You've got the Peace Bond. A lot of people are big fans of the Peace Bond. I am too. I think this gun is fantastic. You can tell I've got over 3,000 kills on this thing, so I've used it quite a bit. Big fan of the Peace Bond. You've also got the Vision, which was the Amelon one. I used that one for a long time as well. But if I had to pick one, I'm going with a more recent one to my arsenal. I loved using the High Albedo a couple of seasons ago when I got a good roll on this thing. This Slideways Head Seeker roll. Man, this thing is so fun, and it is a very strong dueler. And it synergized, I know a lot of people hate this, it synergized very, very well with my Antaeus Ward Striker Titan build. So strong. It was like made for it with slideways. You're sliding into your engagements with Antaeus wards. You're reloading some of the magazine. You're boosting the handling and the stability. Plus, you've got Head Seeker there. Man, such a great dueling sidearm. Big fan of this thing. I still sing its praises. And that's all the sidearms. So we got to move on to a new family of weapons. What should we do next? Let's do pulse rifles. In the adaptive family, you've got some bangers here. I was always a big fan of the Last Perdition. I used this one for quite some time. The Zen Moment Firmly Planted combo was just so stable and a lot of fun to use. But if I had to pick my number one, and I know it's a shocker, it's the third Axiom, and it's not even close. I've got over 9,000 kills on this specific one, over 10,000 total on the third Axiom in general, but this specific one, 9,000 plus kills, surplus opening shot, high caliber rounds, range masterwork. This thing is just so reliable. It really is. It is just such a reliable firearm. It's why I've got as many kills on it as I do. I use it in every environment, whether it's comp, trials, sixes. No matter where I take this thing, I can trust that it's just going to perform very well. Big fan of this thing. In the lightweight family, there's just no competition. You know, I just crafted my Shattering Bone, but this is my original one. This one's got rangefinder, head seeker, ricochet round, stability masterwork, arrowhead break, perfectly vertical recoil direction. This thing is just insanely good. It outperforms its family. I got almost 4,000 kills on this particular roll. Big fan of this lightweight pulse. It's just always been a solid performer for me. This is actually, I got this specific roll on my very first ever completion of Last Wish. So it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart too. And then in the rapid fire pulse family, you've got a lot of bangers. You've got the Horror's Least, you've got the Peace of Mind. There's so many great pulses there, but if I had to pick a favorite, oh man, it's easy. It's a Jurassic Green. This gun has so much character. Look at this thing, it's beautiful. It's so cool. It's got friggin' scales on it, like an actual reptile. And it's also the only gun in the game that Jungle Viper looks good on as a shader. But listen, I'm a huge fan of this thing. I've got, 3,500 kills on this one. I've got this one here with almost 600 kills on it. Looks great. I've got another one with Golden Tricorn on it with over 600 kills on it. So, man, my relationship with this gun is great. I've used it a ton. I've had a lot of fun with it. And it drags and drops into several different builds that I have. You know, this one goes in my Atheris build with the Golden Tricorn and being solar and all. My Adrenaline Junkie heating up roll drags and drops perfectly into my Ankara Spine build. I mean, it works so great. I'm a huge fan of this gun, and I always sing its praises. Such an underrated weapon. Now, in the high impact family, I know I was just a hipster and referenced a gun that no one ever uses or likes that much, but this time I'm going to be a little bit of a basic B. When it comes to the high impact frame pulse rifles, I'm a simple guy. It's the Messenger. It's the Messenger, and it's just, there's no competition. I've got over 4,000 kills in this particular one. Huge fan of this gun. The rapid fire, or the rapid hit and kill clip roll has always been so consistent for me. and I love it. And then obviously just last week, I got a brand new toy to play with. I got a perpetual motion encore roll. This one feels really good as well, so I'm looking forward to playing more with this too. But this gun is it's just too good. It really is. It's just too good. It is the king of its family, and there's really no genuine competition. And then in the aggressive burst family, this is a throwback, but I've always been a huge fan of the blast furnace. What a beautiful pulse rifle, right? I just think that honestly, my opinion is that Season of the Forge was probably my favorite season in the history of seasons in Destiny 2. I loved the guns, the aesthetic, everything about it was just so fun to me. Blast Furnace, I had a great relationship with, over 4,000 kills, 4,400 kills on this particular role with Feeding Frenzy and Kill Clip, which was amazing until Bungie nerfed Feeding Frenzy. They basically killed Feeding Frenzy in PvP, but before that nerf, Feeding Frenzy plus the extended magazine, I had 52 rounds in the mag. This thing shredded people, and was constantly reloading super fast with Feeding Frenzy. But if I had to pick one, Blast Furnace would take my number 2. Insidious would take my number 1. For the aggressive burst family, I think Insidious is my number 1. I love this pulse rifle. I loved it from the first time it dropped for me. You know, this is my crafted one. I've got up to level 129 with almost 4,000 kills on it already. I just think this thing is just so clean. I know a lot of people don't like the boxiness of it. I actually think that is part of its charm, and this particular gun has always stood out to me. I thoroughly enjoy running this gun. And that's all the pulse rifles. Let's move on to auto rifles now. We'll start with the adaptive frame family. Recently, I've really been liking the old Sterling. It's a very solid dueler. I've busted it out on stream again yesterday. Continued using it. It's Strand. It synergizes well with my Strand build on my Broodweaver. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'm gonna pick the Last Breath in the adaptive frame family. I really like this one. It's always been really fun to use. The rangefinder and killing wind combo with ricochet rounds, just a very solid roll. And I always have a riot when I run this thing. It may not be the best in the game, but it's definitely my favorite. And then the high impact frame family, you've got an oldie but a goldie. I actually deleted my original one, but the Blue Perfect was actually pretty solid in PvP, and I did have a lot of fun in the season that it came out running the Blue Perfect. And it could get some seriously good perks. I mean, the Zen Moment is in the perk pool, Kill Clip, Rangefinder. I mean, it was a bit of a banger in that capacity. But if I had to pick one, I think my favorite in this family would actually be the Come to Pass. I just think this gun has a great aesthetic, great feel. It sounds really cool when you're shooting it as well. So big fan of the Come to Pass myself. In the rapid fire family, big fan of the Valakadin. This is a throwback. Valakadin was in the game on launch, and that original one, the launch version, I had a ton of kills on, but I deleted it when it got reissued in Forsaken with updated perks. So we got that quick draw kill clip combo in this particular one, but I used this one a lot and just had an absolute riot with it back in the day. But if I had to pick one, my favorite in this family would have to be the Reckless Oracle. I think the Reckless Oracle is severely underrated. It is a great auto rifle. It's a raid weapon, right? It's a raid weapon, comes from the Garden of Salvation raid, which is not everyone's favorite, but this gun was great. Big fan of this AR. And then finally, in the precision frame, there's no competition here for me. Number 1 favorite in this family is the Ringing Nail from Season of the Forge. Man, these guns look so good, didn't they? Didn't they look amazing? Just absolutely stunning. That was like OG weapon like crafting in a sense, that we were going to the forge to build a gun, but it was still a random roll. Can you imagine if we could like handcraft Season of the Forge weapons now? Like some of these were genuine bangers, and the Ringing Nail was no different. And I love that you have different optics to choose from as well. But man, this gun was always just so good for me, and such a sturdy dueler, you know what I mean? And now hand cannons. Let's talk adaptives. Now this family is stacked. I mean, it's stacked. You've got the Austringer, you've got the Palindrome. My number 2, I think, I'm going to be a bit of a basic B here. It's actually a throwback to D1, but it's the Eyes Luna. Like, I just really like the way that this gun feels, and I always have. And it consistently performs very well for me in PvP. That's why I've got over 2,000 kills on it, and I'm not a hand cannon main by any stretch of the imagination, but this one always feels good. It's my number 2. if I had to pick a number one, it's going to be a bit of a throwback, and it's for nostalgia's sake, but there is a gun I fell in love with, and it is the Minuet. Now, a lot of people forgot the Minuet even existed. It was a Suros adaptive frame hand cannon, and this one has always just been so good for me. Now, obviously, it gets outclassed nowadays. I mean, it got left in the dust, power creep. We are so much stronger than we used to be, but when this gun was relevant, it was so good, and I loved it so much. So for me, for nostalgia's sake, if I have to land on a favorite in this family, it's going to be the Minuet. Now let's talk aggressive hand cannons. This is probably not going to be high on anyone's list, but my number two is actually going to be the Criminal's Dagger. Just because I used it so much. I used it a lot, over 2,000 kills on this particular hand cannon back in the day. Snapshot, opening shot, I used it as a hot swap weapon. And I know that's kind of, people might think, that's kind of scummy. But you know what, that's what I used it for, and it was so good at that with snapshot, opening shot, to switch to it and then aim down sights quickly and get extra range and accuracy on that opening shot, just to clean up after a bow tag, which I know a lot of people hate. But my number one, it's the round robin, right? More recent. We just got this one recently, and I crafted it, and I've just loved it so much ever since then. I still use it extremely regularly. It is my most used primary weapon in Trials of Osiris since it came out. So big fan of the round robin. And then in the 180 family, I mean, you've got some pretty good guns there. I like the Ikelos hand cannon. I like Survivor's Epitaph, but my number one favorite, it's not even close, it's the Posterity, you know, and this is not my first one. My first one was Rapid Hit Opening Shot, and I liked that one a lot. I got over 1,000 kills on that one, but then went back in and farmed for my God roll. Finally got it. It's this one. It's the Killing Wind Rampage combo, and this thing is so fun to use in PvP when you get it up and running. And beyond that, it is seriously one of the best looking guns in the game. It's look at it. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I cannot fault this gun. It is absolutely stunning and so much fun to use in PvP. Easily takes the number one slot for my favorite 180 hand cannon. Okay, we've done auto rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, and sidearms. We only have two families left. Let's move on to scout rifles. Now this one's a throwback. So in the high impact frame family, my number one favorite legendary scout rifle is the Cut and Run. And this one is a throwback to Forsaken. The optics on this are really interesting too, like this short range hollow scope on it. But I think this thing is just so fun. It hits for what, 71 damage to the head. So it hits hard. It's got a slow TTK, but I used this thing a lot back in the day when we were playing on maps like Equinox and Eternity a lot, and Equinox especially. I remember I had a 65 kill game on Equinox with this gun. That's always been like a core memory for me in D2, that experience. Like, I didn't like the map, but I was on fire with this scout rifle on that map. Just could not be stopped. So opening shot, Dragonfly on it. I just like it. It feels good, looks good. And then in the lightweight slot, my favorite would be the Vouchsafe. This one feels very, very good to duel with. I've always been a fan of the Vouchsafe. I actually have one with about 2,000 kills on it, but it's actually not on this account. It's on my other free-to-play account, and I got the Vouchsafe when the Forsaken campaign was free-to-play for a while, and I wanted to experience that again, so I did it on my free-to-play account, and then got this from, was it Blindwell was dropping it, and I got a Vouchsafe there and had a lot of fun with it on that account. But yeah, Surplus Eye of the Storm, it's a very good dueling scout rifle, and I'm surprised we still don't see more of it. I think honestly it is a bit of a stat monster, and it's a whole lot of fun to use, and it sounds cool too. For the precision family, I'm again going to be a little bit of a basic B here, but it's got to be the Hung Jury Adept. About 1,000 kills on this particular one, but I used this one a lot because it had boxed breathing on it and rapid hit, and that combo was really fun to use in PvP for a while. You know, getting those 3 taps, and especially on maps like Widow's Court and stuff like that. Great scout rifle, and I mean, it's a bit of a throwback, so it's got nostalgic value as well. Now, I'm not going to cover the aggressive scouts because I mean, we only have the last right and the long arm, and I don't like either of them. So that's sort of a niche little family that it's not very populated. But the last thing we do have to cover is the rapid fire frame family. And there's a lot going on there. I mean, the servant leader is a great one. But the number one, and it's not even close, is the trusty. I mean, again, look at this thing. It is absolutely beautiful. Like that firearm is gorgeous. It is a work of art. This particular one I got close to 3,000 kills on. I've used a few different roles. I would love to get back in and craft one of these, but part of that means finding a team that's willing to play DSC a bunch. And there's not a lot of those going around. But love this scout rifle. It's a contender for my number one overall favorite scout rifle in the game too. And now we move on to SMGs. In the adaptive frame family, I think it's got to go to the trackless waste. This isn't my original one. I had deleted it, so I had to dredge some other obscure roll up from the vault. But this one I used a lot back in the day, and actually the one I did like was a grave robber roll because I was finishing things up with melees a lot and getting the reload and just kind of chaining it that way, and it was a lot of fun, because I was sliding at people with Arc Titan at the time, and we did have knockout back then, so I would rip the shields with the SMG while sliding at them and then lunge for the punch, and so it was a lot of fun to use back then. I really liked it a lot, and it looks cool, and it kind of sounds interesting too. In the lightweight frame family, it's not even close. It's the submission, hands down, no competition. I love this SMG. This is actually my number one favorite SMG in the game. Okay, love this thing so much. Still use it to this day. Close to level 200 on this thing, over 4,000 kills on it on my crafted one. I just think this SMG goes so hard. The Encore killing wind combo makes kill chaining with this thing, it just feels like a buttery smooth dream. Look at her, she's so pretty. In the aggressive frame family, again, I'm a bit of a basic B, but I've used like, a dozen different Ikelos SMGs, and I think the Ikelos is my number one favorite in this family. It looks cool, sounds cool, it's always been reliable, and I'm a big fan of the Warmind DLC in general, and this kind of taking me back to those days with nostalgia. Yeah, this is the number one in that family. And last but not least, in the precision frame family, it goes to the Atalanta D. Originally, when this first came out, I was a huge fan of it. The original version of this is the refurbished version that came in the Black Armory DLC, Season of the Forge. Came with Black Armory, but the original one I had several thousand kills on. I was maining Sunshot and the Atalanta D on Gunslinger for a long season back in year one, and loved that combo, loved that SMG in particular. So when we got the refurbished version to drop, I was all over it. And this combo, by the way, Zen Moment Dynamic Sway Reduction, this gun still feels good today, and I still break it out from time to time for nostalgia's sake, but it actually performs quite well. In fact, I used it for a good portion of my comp grind last season or season before. Anyways, great SMG, big fan of it. And that is every one of my favorite legendary primary weapons within their subfamilies. So I would be curious to know how your list might differ from mine. Feel free to drop in the comments section any of the weapons that stand out to you, during your tenure with Destiny 2 and your life with it too. So I hope some of these dredged up some great memories for you and maybe made you think about some great seasons that you've had with Destiny 2 as well. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hopefully it was entertaining and a great trip down memory lane. And thanks for clicking on the video. I appreciate it. Feel free to leave a like on it if you enjoyed it and subscribe for additional Destiny content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.